Every single day you ask questions, probably hundreds of them. You just type them into that little search bar, hit enter, and poof, you get answers. But have you ever really stopped to think about what happens to those questions after you ask them? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of private search engines and why the one you choose says a whole lot about the privacy you value.
So let's just start with this question right here. What does your search engine really know about you? I mean, it feels private, doesn't it? It's just you and the internet. But the thing is, it's often way more like a public record, a digital trail that kind of follows you everywhere you go online.
And yeah, that brings us to the real price of free. When you're using a huge search engine like Google, you're not really paying with your wallet, you're paying with your data. So let's break down exactly what that toll looks like.
Okay, so what's so fascinating here is how these different pieces fit together to build a pretty detailed picture of you. Google records 4 main things. First, there's your IP address. Think of it like the return address on a letter. It tells them your general location. Second, obviously, are your search terms. Every single curiosity, every worry, every random thought. Third is something called your user agent. That's just a fancy way of saying it tells them if you're on a new iPhone using Safari or an old Windows laptop with Chrome, and that helps them target ads. And finally, you've got unique identifiers, which are usually cookies. These act like a little digital name tag that ties all of that activity, your location, your searches, your device, directly to you.
It sounds kind of bleak when you lay it all out like that, doesn't it? Just this constant stream of your personal information flowing out into the world. But here's the good news. What if there was a totally different way to search? A way that actually puts your privacy back where it belongs, in your hands.
Well, spoiler alert, there is. We're about to explore this whole world of alternatives that exist just beyond that default search bar you're used to. And these tools, they're built from the ground up with a completely different philosophy about what to do with your data.
All right, let's meet the contenders. And you should think of these not just as tools, but as totally different approaches to finding information online. Each one has its own mission, its own home base, and offers a real choice in how you navigate the web.
And just look at this lineup. I mean, you've got the big names you've probably heard of, like DuckDuckGo over in the US. But then you have Ecosa, based in Germany, which actually uses its search profits to plant trees. How cool is that? You've got Quant in France, Swisscows, that's all about security on Swiss servers. You've even got decentralized peer-to-peer options. It's a way more diverse field than you might think.
But here is where things get really, really fascinating. The source material for this explainer points out this critical detail. It says, with the exception of Mojeek, all of the private search engines above are technically meta search engines. Okay, so what on earth does that actually mean?
Let's pull back the curtain on how these services actually get you those results, because it turns out there are 2 fundamentally different ways they do it. This is the secret sauce.
So first up, you have what's called a meta search engine. And here's the crucial thing to understand. These engines don't have their own giant list or index of the web. Instead, when you search, they basically act as a private bodyguard for your query. They take what you're asking, send it off to a bigger engine like Bing or Google, get the results, and then serve them back to you after stripping out all of your personal info.
And this really lays it all out, side by side. On the one hand, you have the meta search engines, which is what most of these alternatives are. They give you fantastic privacy, but, and this is a big but, the actual results are still coming from big players like Bing. On the other side, you've got a true search engine like Mojeek. It has its own web crawlers, its own bots, and it builds its very own index of the internet from scratch. Now here's the key insight. That means its results are completely independent. It offers a truly different view of the web. With metasearch, your query is private, sure, but the results you see are still being shaped by the same big companies, which could, in a way, just create a privacy-friendly filter bubble.
So with all that information, how in the world do you pick one? Well, that brings us to our final section. It's all about choosing your own digital compass. Because at the end of the day, this is your call.
So here's the real takeaway from all of this. There is no single best private search engine for everybody. The absolute best one is the one that lines up with your values. So you have to ask yourself, do you value true independence above everything else? Do you want to support a genuinely different index of the web? Well, then Mojeek is probably for you. Or is your main goal to help the environment with your daily searches? Then Ecosia is a fantastic choice. Or maybe you just want a convenient private layer on top of the kind of high-quality results you're already used to? Well, then DuckDuckGo or Brave Search could be the perfect fit. It's all about figuring out what matters most to you. Okay, so you now know how your data gets collected and the different ways you can protect it. You've met the contenders. From the meta search engines that act like private gateways, all the way to the truly independent ones building their own map of the web. The power is completely in your hands. So the only question left is this. Now that you know the options, what will your next search be?